Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where each week, twice a week, we discuss a section of the Bhagavatam and consider lessons for life. Today, we are continuing with the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing the 82nd chapter, which concerns a reunion between Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan at Kuruksetra. So as we wait for our friends to arrive, I will chant some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, verses of invocation, and then we can discuss this chapter together. The discussion will last for about an hour, so you're welcome to stay around. If you have any questions, reflections, comments, questions, you can put those into the chat. And we are live both on Facebook as well as on Instagram as well. Welcome Indra Gopi and Balai. Thank you for being here. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 2. Sutta Uvacha Yam Prabhajantam Anupeta Upetta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti tanmayataya taravo binedus tam sarvabhuta hridayam muni manantusmi. Srila Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage Sukadev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all, when he went away to take up the renounced order of life sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or other ceremonies observed by the higher castes. His father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the aggrieved father." Text 3 of the second chapter. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti sharamekam Adhyatmadipam atitasatam tamondam Atititir satam tamondam Samsarinam karunahaya Purana guhyam Tam vyasasunam upayami gurum muninam. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Sukadev, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyas, who out of great compassion for those great materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 4. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Text 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtanam hridyantasto hyabhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. We'll chant one more. Text 18 from the second chapter of the first canto. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance and classes on the Bhagavatam, And by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Wonderful. Let me acknowledge some of you who have joined us as I was chanting. Monica Sharma is with us from Sydney. Monica says, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Welcome, Monica Sharma. Nikunja is with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Nikunja says, Hare Krishna, Sri Prahlad Prabhu. Welcome, Nikunja. Thank you for joining. And Adi Badri is with us from Peru. Lima, maybe? Adi Badri, are you in Lima or Cusco? I can't remember yeah. Let me know where you are these days, Adi Badri. Adi Badri says, Hare Krishna Prabhu and all assembled devotees. Thank you for joining. And then here on Instagram, we have with us Himani 23, Shakawat 10, Sak Lihak Sakar, Balai DVS, Maitri, and Indra Gopi says, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we all devotees are eagerly waiting for your New Zealand visit to listen live classes from you. Thanks, Indra Gopi. I'm also looking forward to your association. Janavamata is with us as well from Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand. Janavamata says, Gaura Bhaktivinda ki jai. And Ananda Kirtan joins us from Mossman in Sydney, Australia. Thank you for your letter, Ananda. I have been meaning to respond. It's on my to-do list there. Great to hear from you. Thanks for writing. And then Janaki joining us from Hungary. Welcome, Janaki. Janaki says, Hare Krishna, Sri Prahlad Prabhu. Kirtida's with us as well. Joined us from Norway. Got in there in the last second. Thank you for being here with us, Kirtida. Welcome all of you to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we're discussing 10th Canto, Chapter 38. Our topic, Krishna meets the Vrajabasis at Kuruksetra. This is a wonderful topic, one with very esoteric dimensions to it as well. This is a topic that we can reflect on now that, at least in the Northern Hemisphere and in the region of the equator, but I think also in Australia and possibly New Zealand, not too sure, but Rath Yatra is being celebrated in Jagannath Puri. Of course, that is the original place of the Rath Yatra festival, but around the world as well. In June, what is it? It's June 9th, 8th, I think June 8th. There is Rath Yatra being celebrated here in New York City. And what date is it being celebrated in Jagannath Puri? Anyway, it's near to that date. Rath Yatra is being celebrated in Jagannath Puri. And then I know there's a Sydney Rath Yatra on July 13th. And so like this, through the summer, at least in India and Europe and America, all through America, there is a Rath Yatra celebration, or many, many Rath Yatra celebrations all across the United States and then across Europe as well. Might happen differently in some places, but generally devotees these days celebrate Rath Yatra at around the time of the Puri Rath Yatra as well. And so as we celebrate, we can remember this pastime of Krishna's meeting the residents of Vrindavan in Kuruksetra. That is the hidden meaning of Rath Yatra as revealed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as we will discuss today. So once again, we're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 82. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are going to discuss this chapter as usual under 3 headings. 1, the Yadu's journey and arrival in Kuruksetra. 2, the meeting between the Yadus and the Vrajabasis. 3, the meeting between Krishna and the gopis. We're beginning with our first topic, the meeting between, the Yadu's journey and arrival in Kuruksetra. Just as a point of note, what was the previous section we were discussing in the Bhagavatam? We were discussing Balaram's pastimes. And prior to that, we were discussing Krishna's killing Dantavakra and Salva, and prior to that, Shishupal. And this all happened at around the time of the Rajasuya sacrifice, when Yudhisthira Maharaj was made the emperor of the world in Indraprastha, but which brought out Duryodhana's enmity towards Krishna. Now, something to note here is that especially the pastimes of Balaram we were discussing, they were taking place during the Kuruksetra battle. But our acharyas, they give us a different chronology than what is given here in the Bhagavatam. They say this pastime of Krishna's meeting the residents of Vrindavan at Kuruksetra happened prior to the Rajasuya Yajna and prior to the Kuruksetra war. Sukadeva Goswami, he doesn't always speak necessarily in a chronological order. He's also just responding to Parikshit Maharaj's questions, which just come up in the course of the conversation. So although there is a general chronology to the description, it doesn't always hold necessarily. Sometimes Sukadeva is also just inspired to introduce a different topic. So our acharyas tell us this pastime happened after Krishna left Mathura and relocated all the Yadus in Dwarka, but prior to the Rajasuya Yajna and then the Pandavas' exile for all those years in the forest, and then the Kuruksetra war, and with that then Balaram's pilgrimage, as well as we have been discussing in previous chapters. This is an earlier event that Sukadeva Goswami is introducing. Once, while Krishna and Balaram were residing in Dwarka, there was a great eclipse of the sun. Recently, we also had a solar eclipse that was seen in different parts of the world. It was seen here. It was 80% eclipsed over New York City, and other parts of the US, they saw a complete eclipse of the sun. This was a particularly significant eclipse. It's described that it lasted for a long time, just as if the end of Brahma's day had come about. The entire region was plunged into darkness. And hearing from the Brahmana astronomers and astrologers that an eclipse was about to occur, from all over Bharatavarsha, people converged at a holy place in Kuruksetra called Samanta Panchaka. Samanta Panchaka. Pancha, 5. These are 5 lakes at Kuruksetra. They converged there to ward off the evil effects of the eclipse, or the inauspicious effects of the eclipse, on account of that being a holy place. How was it a holy place? Sukadeva Goswami tells us how Parashuram, the greatest of warriors, a partial incarnation of Krishna, after ridding the earth of unqualified, unjust kings, he created these lakes, Samanta Panchaka, these 5 lakes, from the blood of these slain kings, these slain kshatriyas. And he performed great sacrifice there to free himself of the karmic offense of punishing those kings, of ridding the earth of those kings. Of course, as a partial incarnation, he doesn't need to perform a sacrifice to purify himself. There is no karma for the Supreme Lord. But to set a good example, he performed these sacrifices to show us that we will be held to account, and we need to be responsible. So he performed these sacrifices, and therefore this area became regarded as very auspicious, the place where Parashuram had performed sacrifice. There are other significant events that take place at Kuruksetra as well. In fact, recently, Indrajuna Maharaj sent me a message where he was suggesting that possibly as part of the parikrama this year during Kartik, he's considering taking the devotees to Kuruksetra for a few days, as he had done some years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. We were all there in Kuruksetra. And so, yeah, he sent me that message that he was considering taking the devotees there. And with that message, he listed lots and lots of different spiritual activities that had taken place in Kuruksetra in addition to Parashuram's sacrifice. And on account of that, he said it takes 5 days to do a parikrama of Kuruksetra, because there are so many holy places there. There's a place where Jad Bharat was saved from Mother Kali. If you remember, the dacoits were going to offer Jad Bharat in sacrifice. There's the place where Prithu Maharaj performed a fire sacrifice. There's a place that marks the visit of Balaram and Vidura during their yatras. If you remember, when we were reading about Balaram's travels to the different holy places, Kuruksetra was also mentioned. Of course, it's also the place where later the Kuruksetra war was fought. So Jad Bharat was rescued there. Of course, there's this meeting between Krishna and the Vrajabasis, and then the Kuruksetra war. And here, Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning the sacrifice of Parashuram. Okay, so many, many holy places there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also said to have visited Kuruksetra. It's not mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but some people claim that he also visited Kuruksetra. So the mighty Yadus, they went to Kuruksetra in great pomp and ceremony. They are royals, and so they rode in magnificent chariots that looked like aeroplanes from heaven. Their horses moved with a rhythmic gait. Their elephants bellowed, making great sounds, and they looked like huge clouds moving, but in a unison. There were infantrymen who looked as effulgent as the Vidyadharas. The Yadus were divinely dressed. They looked like demigods. And so they processed from Dvaraka to Kuruksetra. And once they arrived, they took bath at Samantapanchaka, these sacred lakes. You can visit those lakes even today. They observe fasting with great attention. They gave charity to brahmanas. They gave clothes and jewels and cows, and then they bathed again. And this way they observed scriptural injunctions to mark their arrival in Kuruksetra. Actually, there's a nice verse which Sukadev Goswami describes. Rama hrideshu vidhivat punar aplutya vrishnaya dadasvanam dvijay grebhya Krishne no bhakti astvati. This is very nice. He says, in accordance with scriptural injunctions, the descendants of Vrishni then bathed once more in Parashuram's lakes and fed first-class brahmanas with sumptuous food, all the while they prayed. This is their prayer. It's very wonderful. Krishna no bhakti rastvati. May we be granted with devotion to Krishna. I love that. We can remember that prayer. Krishna no bhaktir astvati. Krishna no bhaktir, and then astviti, astviti. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 82, verse 10, if you want to find that. We learn from the Vrishnis how to do devotional service. What should be our prayer as we perform devotional service? Then, with Krishna's permission, the Yadus, they sat down, they had breakfast together under the trees, which gave cooling shade. They noticed that other kings were arriving. The Matsyas, the Ushinaras were arriving. And then they saw at a distance that Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd community of Vraja, they were also coming with great anticipation of seeing Krishna. The Yadavas, they enjoyed seeing their old friends. They embraced one another. They shed tears of happiness. Their hair stood on end. Their wives embraced one another. They offered obeisances to their elders. They received blessings. They gave blessings. They told one another about their journeys and their well-being, and they talked about Krishna. When Mother Kunti Rani saw her brother Vasudev, so Kunti Rani, she would have come from Indraprastha, and her brother Vasudev would have come from Dvaraka. She's very happy, and she's very sad about how the Pandavas are mistreated. But when she sees her brother Vasudev and other members of her family, she's very, very joyful. She said to Vasudev, "Oh, brother, I'm so fortunate because all of you forgot me. I'm unfortunate because all of you forgot me during my struggles. Even one's relatives forget a person whom providence no longer favors." Vasudev replied, "Dear sister, everyone is being influenced by destiny. We Yadavas were so harassed by Kamsa that we were forced to flee and take shelter in foreign lands. So it was difficult for us to keep in touch with you." The kings present included Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, the sons and her sons, the Pandavas and their wives, Kunti, Sanjaya, Vidura, Kripacharya, and other kings subservient to Maharaj Yudhisthira. All of them were struck with wonder upon beholding Lord Krishna and his wives, and they glorified the Yadavas for having gotten the Lord's personal association. So we can pause here. We've already given quite a bit of commentary, but we can pause and consider. I would like to stay with this theme of Rath Yatra and just consider the power of festivals. When we read here about the Yadavas gathering at Samanta Panchaka during the solar eclipse, we learn something about the unifying power of celebrating sacred festivals, sacred practices, sacred events. We see how And we see it with Rathayatra all around the world. How spiritual gatherings bridge differences and bring together devotees that we might not see that often, or different communities of devotees in different parts of a state or a country or even a city. And they give us an opportunity for healing and personal spiritual renewal. There is emotion in the reunion between friends and families who have been separated for long. And they teach us how important it is for us to celebrate Rathayatra, Janmastami, Radhastami, Gaura Purnima, and other such events that bring us together as a community. And they don't just help us increase our spiritual connection with Krishna, but they also strengthen our connection as a community, fostering this unified, spiritually vibrant community atmosphere. And so very important to organize and participate in these types of spiritual festivals. Let's go to our second topic, meeting between the Yadus and the Vrajabasis. When Nanda Maharaj heard that the Yadus would be going to Kuruksetra, led by Krishna, he took it as an opportunity to see Krishna once again. Kuruksetra is between, we can say, between Vrindavan and Dwaraka. Yeah, much, much closer to Vrindavan than it is to Dwaraka. And so Nanda Maharaj, again, using the eclipse as an excuse, they make this journey. They load up their bullock carts and wagons, and they bring gifts and offerings, and they make this journey to Kuruksetra. Once they meet the Yadus, they're full of joy. They embrace one another very tightly. Vasudeva embraces Nanda Maharaj with great joy, remembering how when Vasudeva was tormented by Kamsa, Nanda had taken Vasudev's sons, Krishna and Balaram, under his protection. That's how Vasudeva understood it. Krishna and Balaram embraced and bowed down to Nanda and Yasoda. They wanted to offer some words of love and appreciation, but their throats were choked up with emotion and they were unable to speak. And so Nanda and Yasoda just held their boys close, embraced them, held them tight, and relieved the distress or the sadness of their separation. Rohini and Devaki both embraced Mother Yasoda, remembering the friendship that she had shown them. They told her of the kindness that she had done them by raising and supporting Krishna and Balaram, a kindness that could never be repaid, even with all the opulences of Lord Indra. So we can pause here and just reflect on this emotional exchange, how it is part of bhakti, part of devotional service. The reunion between Krishna and his devotees at Kuruksetra showcases the richness of rasa, or spiritual emotional exchange. We see how Krishna's interactions with his intimate devotees is not just reverential. It's filled with emotion, filled with flavor, affection, joy, compassion. These interactions, they show that spiritual relationships are vibrant and dynamic and full of sentiment, full of feeling. And they show us as well that as we traverse the path of bhakti, we shouldn't be shy of emotion. Maybe as neophyte devotees, we might have impersonal tendencies where we equate emotion with attachment and sentiment, and we want to be detached and renounced, and so we withhold emotion. That's not what we learn from Krishna's interactions with his friends and associates and devotees here in this depiction. That's not what we see in the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Srila Prabhupada. Let's go to our third topic, the meeting between Krishna and the gopis, verses 40 to 45. While the gopis looked upon their beloved Krishna, they embraced him within their hearts. Previously, they had condemned Brahma for their eyelids, which caused them to blink and thus inhibited their ability to drink the nectar of Krishna's beauty. And so now that they're able to see him again after a long separation, with their eyes, they drink him. They drink his beauty into their hearts and there embrace him to their full satisfaction and become fully absorbed in ecstatic meditation on Krishna. A meditation so deep and so profound that mystic yogis are unable to achieve. Then Krishna, he approached the gopis after being with his parents. He approached the gopis and met with them in a secluded place. And he consoled them. He spoke words. He said, "My dear girlfriends, do you still remember me? Or have you forgotten me? It was for the sake of my relatives that I stayed away for so long, intent of destroying the demons who are causing trouble to the pious." And our acharyas tell us how the gopis think in relation to this question from Krishna. Of course we haven't forgotten you. How could we ever forget you? We are unable to do anything. We're always thinking of you. And detecting that the gopis were somewhat angry, the next verse Krishna says, "Do you perhaps think I'm ungrateful and thus hold me in contempt? After all, it is the Supreme Lord who brings living entities together and then separates them." So acharyas say, yes, they are feeling that he's ungrateful and they have some anger towards him. Then Krishna speaks this verse. It's very beautiful. Some of you will recognize it from Indrajumna Maharaj's life story. He says, "Just as the wind brings together masses of clouds, blades of grass, wisps of cotton, and particles of dust, only to scatter them all again, so the Creator deals with his created beings in the same way." There are similar verses in the Bhagavatam. And when Indrajumna Maharaj first met the devotees, 5 sannyasis headed by Vishnujana Maharaj, he invited them to stay in his apartment. They stayed with him for a week. And then one day he woke up and they were gone. And there was just a handwritten note by Vishnujana Maharaj, and he copied a verse like this: "Just as the wind brings together masses of clouds, blades of grass, wisps of cotton, and particles of dust, only to scatter them again, so the Creator deals with his created beings in the same way." And that was it. There was no address, no contact information, no phone number. Indrajumna Maharaj was devastated with feelings of separation from these devotees. The only thing they left him, something very special, a silver spoon that Prabhupada had given to Vishnujana Maharaj. Was a spoon that was a deity spoon. Kartamasi Krishna had that spoon, and Vishnujana Maharaj saw that Indrajumna Maharaj liked it, so he left it as a gift with this verse, or one of these verses. Krishna further says to the gopis, rendering devotional service to me qualifies any living being for eternal life. By your good fortune, you have developed a special loving attitude towards me, by which you have attained me. Dear ladies, I am the beginning and end of all created beings and exist both within and without them, just as the elements of ether, water, air, and fire are the beginning and the end of material objects and exist both within and without them. In this way, all created beings will reside within the basic elements of creation, while the spirit soul pervades creation, remaining in their true identity. You should see both of these, the material creation and the self, as manifest within me, the imperishable supreme truth. I don't know, how are you feeling with these loving words spoken by Krishna to the gopis? Sukadev Goswami says, having thus been instructed by Krishna in spiritual matters, the gopis were freed from all ego because of their incessant meditation on him, and with their deepening absorption in him, they came to understand him fully. And the gopis, they responded. So one verse as a response. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 82, verse 48. Lord Chaitanya liked this verse as far as I remember. Ahuschate dalina nama paradavindam yogeshvara hridhi vichintyam agada bodhe samsara kupapatito tara navalambam geham jusam api manasi Uriyat Sabdana. The gopis spoke thus, Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. Well, this is an interesting response. So we are pausing here to reflect now. This is the end of the section. We can break down this response and analyze it. The gopis say, you are the shelter for those who have fallen into material existence. Your lotus feet are meditated upon by mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. Krishna is saying, meditate on me. Be philosophical. He's teaching them some high level philosophy. I am present within every living entity. I am present within every aspect of creation. I am present within all the elements. Thus, one who is able to perceive me present everywhere in all things and all means is never separate from me. This is a response here. Gopis say, we're not philosophers. You are the shelter for those who have fallen into material existence. That's us. Your feet are worshipped by mystic yogis and philosophers. You're speaking this high philosophy to us, telling us to meditate like yogis. We don't know what you're saying. We don't know what you're talking about. All we know is that we wish that your lotus feet may be awakened in our hearts. Although we're just ordinary people engaged in ordinary household affairs. So a very humble, simple response. Krishna, we don't know what you're saying. We just know we love you. We just know that we want you. And we want you in our hearts. And at a deeper level, we want you in Vrindavan. Our hearts are Vrindavan. Our hearts blossom in Vrindavan. And that's where we want you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he would meditate on this pastime continually, particularly during the Rath Yatra. And he would feel the gopis' disappointment in this moment. He would feel their disappointment as a wish for greater intimacy with Krishna, but it's being inhibited by his position as the great prince of Dwaraka, surrounded by opulence and soldiers and queens that have come with him. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meditation, this leads Radharani to express a desire to return to the intimacy of Vrindavan. The gopis say here, we're just ordinary people doing household activities in Vrindavan. Come back and be within our hearts. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he meditated on this pastime as the hidden meaning of Rath Yatra, symbolizing the gopis' desire to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan from Dwarka, the great Rath Yatra cart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that as Krishna's Dwarka chariot, the grand temple in Puri. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw as representing Dwarka, and the pulling of that chariot to the Gundicha garden, he meditated upon as the gopis pulling that chariot to the simplicity of Vrindavan forest. During the Rath Yatra, Krishna's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sung a song. It was a secular poem. Yakomara harasa eva hibarasta eva chaitrakshapas te kon milita malati sorabhya proda kadambanija sa chevasmi tatapi tatra surata vyapara lila vidho reva rodhasi vetasi tarutale cheta samutkantate. This poem says, that very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights in the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of Malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover. Yet still, my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva, under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. You can find this verse in Madhya 158. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing this poem at the Rath Yatra festival, people were a little confused. What is he singing? He's a sannyasi and he's singing a secular, contemporary love poem. It's like if one of our sannyasis would be singing to give a current example, would be singing a Taylor Swift love song. We were both young when I first saw you standing there. Anyway, I'm not going to sing it. I don't know the song, but imagine if a sannyasi were singing that song during the Rath Yatra. It could be confusing. It could be perplexing. And so there was some doubt in the minds of the devotees. No one really understood the meaning of this song except a couple of people, Sarup Damodar Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And the very next day after the Rath Yatra, Rupa Goswami wrote another poem revealing the hidden meaning that was within Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind. He wrote it out on a palm leaf. At the time, Rupa Goswami was staying with Haridas Thakur at Siddhabakul, and he just pushed the palm leaf into the thatch of the hut where he and Haridas Thakur were staying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to visit Haridas Thakur each day. And so as he was entering Haridas's hut, he saw something sticking into the thatch and he pulled it out and he read this poem. It said, "My dear friend, now that I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kuruksetra, my dear friend, now I have met my very dear and old friend Krishna on this field of Kuruksetra. I am the same Radha, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still, I would like to go back to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the Kadamba forest. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing, the fifth note, within the forest of Vrindavan." Madhya 178. So Rupa Goswami's deciphered the poem, and where the other poem says, I'm the same girl, you're the same boy, Rupa Goswami says, you're the same Krishna, I am the same Radha. We are meeting again after a long time. But my mind is not happy. It is pleasant. And Rupa's poem says, it is pleasant, but I would like to go back to the bank of the Yamuna. The secular poem says, I want to go to the bank of the Reva under the Vatasi tree. Rupa's poem says, I want to go to the bank of the Yamuna beneath the Kadamba trees. I wish to hear the sound of his sweet flute playing the fifth note in Vrindavan forest. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the poem, he was so happy, so pleased, and he asked, who has understood my mind? Haridas said, this is Rupa's poem. He has written it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased, and he empowered him to write and to reveal the treasures of bhakti. And so we honor Rupa Goswami by saying, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadadikam. O you who understood and have revealed the mind of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. O Rupa Goswami, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Shri Chaitanya Manobishta. That's how we glorify Sri Rupa, on account of his having written this verse, and then the books that he writes, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, revealing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy of loving devotion in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, and the cultivation of loving sentiment, or rasa. So, many, many wonderful reflections reading this passage of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's conclude with a prayer. In the meantime, if you have any questions or reflections, comments, questions, put them into the chat. Beloved Krishna, guide us deeply within our hearts to comprehend the profound depths of divine love, interwoven with threads of union and separation, as revealed during the sacred gathering at Kuruksetra. As the Yadavas and Vrajabasis converged in unity, teach us that spiritual festivals transcend mere assemblies, but profound unions of the heart and soul, where every smile, sigh, and tear is an expression of devotion. From your reunion with Sri Radha and the gopis, inspire us to seek beyond your omnipresence, to yearn intensely for you with feelings of separation, even in your presence, satisfied only with seeing you in Vrindavan's pastoral beauty. Grant us the grace to serve and receive your mercy, following in the wake of the gopis' love, with a devotion so fierce that it calls you away from the splendors of celestial Dvaraka to the simplicity of our earnest hearts. So let me acknowledge some of you who arrived after I started speaking. And once again, if you have any reflections, put them in the chat. We have Nina with us. Nina says July 7th as the date for Sydney. Oh, for Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. Thank you for that, Nina. Much appreciated. My wife, Sri Gandharvika, has joined us from here in New York City. Sri Gandharvika says, Hari Bol, and sends love. Thank you for being here. Adi Badri, sending much gratitude. So I think this love here is between Adi Badri and Sri Gandharvika, possibly. It's for all of us. Oceans of love. Jody is with us. Jody says, Hari Bol, sending gratitude and love. Nikunja is sharing a resource. Nikunja says, Indrajumna Swami gives a lecture on the fifth note. Thank you for that, Nikunja. So the fifth note is, in English, it is G, the G note. Or in Sanskrit, it's Pa. Sa re ga ma pa pa pa. Each note has its quality. The 7 notes of the scale, they each have a psychological quality as well. And they have their association with 7 planets and colors. And so the fifth note is particularly associated with madhurya, or conjugal feeling. And so when Krishna plays the fifth note in Vrindavan, and he plays melodies that emphasize the fifth note or highlight, feature the fifth note, then it causes particularly the gopis to feel great. That their hearts are turned with feelings of deep affection and attraction for Krishna. And so Radha, she's praying here in Rupa's poem, let me return to Vrindavan where you play the fifth note. Pa. Yeah. Thank you for that, Nikunja. Otherwise, for more insight, click that link that Nikunja has shared. Okay, on Instagram, we have some comments. Indra Gopi says, beautiful class, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Indra Gopi. Ayudas says, wonderful to be here with you this morning. Radhe Shyam. Hey, Ayu. That's amazing. Thank you for joining. Very pleasant surprise. So happy to see you. Always happy to see you. My love and affection to you and your family. When you see him, your brother, who was my fast friend in our childhood, we spent many a day, week, summer together. And then we have Kukreja Sneha says, thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful pastimes. Looking forward to attending your kirtan in Birmingham. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that, Kukreja. Come and say hello to me when you see me there. There might be a big crowd. Birmingham Kirtan Festival. But yeah, if you get a chance, come over and say hello. I would appreciate that. Jai. Well, I think we are at time, so I will conclude. May you deepen your taste for hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. May you deepen your taste for chanting Krishna's holy name with attention. May you deepen your appreciation of Krishna's appearing in the form of Sri Vigraha to accept our services. May you deepen your appreciation for Sri Vrindavan Dham as the place of Krishna's most intimate pastimes, the place where Krishna is most fully Krishna. It's also why the gopis are wanting to bring him back there, because they say in Dwarka, Krishna, you yourself can't be yourself. You can't enjoy your own sweetness. Come back with us to Vrindavan. He might say, come to Dwarka. We can be together in Dwarka. I was like, but no, but that's not you, and that's not us, and it won't be our Vraj It'll be something else. You come back to Vrindavan. So may we deepen our appreciation for Sri Dham, for the holy Dham, and may you deepen your appreciation of Vaishnavas, to serve Vaishnavas, to love Vaishnavas, to develop friendships with Vaishnavas, because it is by the mercy of Vaishnavas that we're able to appreciate and experience these other profound practices of bhakti, Harinam, Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, and so on. With your deepening of appreciation for these practices, may your heart soften with compassion that compels you to share the treasures of bhakti far and wide with others. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Rinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Haribol. I can see Radhika has joined us as well. Radhika Ranjan Das Prabhuji Kirtaniya Extraordinaire from London. So very happy to see you here and looking forward to seeing you in the UK when I visit with the Nujanu Maharaj in the next couple of weeks. Jai.